Dear diarrhea, diary full of shit. Just play along me, myself, and I. No one else. Yo, I'm so legit. I ain't got nothing to say, so I figured I'd say some shit. Um, what I had mentioned, the pennies being discontinued. And I'm a dumbass, I do live under a rock, I don't know when that's going to happen, but I guess they stopped making them, and they're just going to be in circulation. And then, I don't know if eventually you won't be able to spend them or what, but apparently the only ones that would be worth money are the ones that are before 1983 or 1983 or older, because they're the only ones that are like made out of real copper, I guess. And they're going to be worth like three times, worth. So they're going to be worth like 3 cents. And, I guess the joke's on me. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself because, back in the day, if I had, clicked on a video, back in the day, I would have to click on a video, and watch a little bit of it for the algorithm to suggest, another video about precious metal or coins. And then they started, putting their fingers, deeper and deeper into everybody's pies. And now with AI, it not only it didn't suggest another video about coins or precious metal. It popped up a video about the musical group Nickelback. They're an old musical group. I'm not sure if they're still making music, but that's the thing about AI, is it kind of goes off script, but it's still, is kind of in the ballpark, but not really, which is scary because they're using AI, more and more to do, jobs and to figure things out, and customer service. And, it's one thing, if your customer service sucks because your AI keeps fucking itself. Like Mr. Gorilla was talking about that, AI fucked him over, and it turned out, he did get his channel back, but, so it's one thing if your AI is bad. It's another thing, if, you're accused of a crime because AI, pegged you through facial recognition, of some shit, or doctors, it, in theory, it's like, well, it can do it, twice as fast and be twice as accurate, but it's like, well, it fucks up, it plumb fucks the fuck up. Maybe it'll work itself out, a few years from now. Like I said, the optics, as far as like videos and stuff. But, again, it's just not really natural. It's not quite there yet. It's advancing faster than anybody thought, but it's still alarming. And everybody's wanting to embrace it and shit. But so anyway, I'd also mentioned that the guy I used to work with, had that toy car, that he bought for $5 and it was now worth $100. And it, it popped up, a little video of this dude, who had a Hot Wheels car that was still in the package, of like a 1965 Shelby GT something, I don't know shit, I'm not a gearhead, but but, joke's on me, because if that's what you do, just little by little in your spare time, you buy, one of these high value cars, because it was a high value car, so now it's just a toy, but it's a high value toy, and humans being humans, it's like somebody decided, to do something with that. Kids just play with them, but an adult is like, well, yeah, I'll save that. It might be worth something. So it's only worth $100 because there's multiple other people who know that it's worth something. They're not going to buy it and put it on their shelf and look at it every now and then and reminisce, about back in the day or whatever. I doubt they're going to open it and play with it, or give it to their son or grandson. The only reason, they're wheeling and dealing in toy cars is because they know they're worth shit, So, oh, here's this. I'll buy this. I'll hang on to it for 10 years. So, it is kind of a pathetic hobby, but it's also an easy one. and relatively cheap. Like I said, if you can get one, even if you had to buy the one for $100, I guess hang on to it for 10, 20 years, you know. If you got a bunch of, toy cars still in the package, of classic cars, you got 100 of them, and they're all worth $100 now, that's $10,000. So I guess I can't talk too much shit. But I had a friend who would do the same thing with like models, of like comic book characters, like the Incredible Hulk and Superman, and he had some models of the members of the band Kiss, and he wasn't really a fan of them, but he just kind of, that was what he did. And his dad did the same thing with Playboy magazines. And I remember thinking as a kid, this is such a waste. Nobody's going to buy this shit. He had like a library of decades, worth of Playboy magazines. But what do I know? It's not the magazine themselves, People aren't, they've just decided that this is currency, So if they want to buy, 12 months worth of, 1978, a Playboy set, they're not buying it to, read the articles and beat off to the nudie pics. They're buying it because it's currency. And it's kind of interesting what turns things into currency, like coins and, stamps and stuff, It's like, I always thought that was kind of a joke, you heard about that, people who collect stamps, Are stamps actually worth shit? Like some rare stamps of, this boat from back in the 1800s, Who knows? What about people who collect bugs? And they put them on the little needles, in the foam. I don't know. I saw one guy one time. It was a grown boy. And he collected like Lego figures. Only the thing was, Legos, you have to build them. So he was like showing them off, like here's a guy. Okay, so he's got his pants, his torso, his arms, and his stomach and stuff, and here's his legs, and then here's his head, and now he's his hands, they're in the shapes of little C's, so you can put things in them, you can put one in one or the other or even both, and he's got a sword, and as you can see, I can change out heads, and now he's got a beard. Oh, man. Woo! Is that guy, wheeling and dealing in currency? Or is he just... Oh, man. He's got a staff, and see, he's got a cape, so you take his head off, you put the cape on, then you put the head back on. There's all kinds of accessories. You can put a ball cap on him. Oh, shit. Woo.